When the messaging application platform Encrochat was hacked in 2020, one of the people that was brought onto the radar of the police was James Harding. He was distributing large amounts of drugs, importing them on planes, and also trying to hire hitmen. When the Metropolitan Police obtained information from French police, they got hundreds of hours of messages off Encrochat from James. Among them was clear conspiracies to carry out murders of drug rivals and gang members, with detailed plans involving recruiting paid hitmen, arranging firearms and getaway vehicles. They also discussed dates and locations. On Encrochat, James was called the Tops King, which was a code for cocaine, and his accomplice, Jay's Karuti, used the name Best Tops. They used the platform to communicate with each other and their vast criminal empire. They were organising the deliveries of hundreds of kilos of cocaine around the country and also managing their vast finances and discussing potential security threats. The court heard that approximately 50 importations were made into the UK with a total weight of 1 tonne between April and June 2020. Harding was living a lavish lifestyle in the United Arab Emirates, where he conducted his criminal enterprise. James was arrested on Monday the 27th of December 2021 at Geneva Airport in Switzerland. On the 27th of May 2022, he was extradited from Switzerland to the UK, where he was arrested by Metropolitan Police.
Right, we will be exiting the hangar shortly. Over to you.
Mr. Harding, welcome back.
Oh, thanks very much.
No worries at all. Good to see you. I'm going to hand you over to my colleague now.
Yeah.
Listen very careful to what she's got to say.
Yeah.
Right, James, you're going to be arrested. A warrant's been issued at Westminster Magistrates Court for your arrest for the following offences: conspiracy to murder, conspiracy to supply Class A controlled drugs, and conspiracy to fraudulently evade the prohibition of an importation of a Class A drug. So you don't have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention when questioned something which you may later rely on in court, and anything you do say may be given in evidence. The time's 14:09. Do you understand what you've been arrested
Yes.
for? Okay, in which case we'll get you moving.
Lovely.
His partner J.S. Karuti had his home searched in 2020 when he was linked to the Encrochat messages. Police found a handset with the same number that he gave to Harding. He fled the country shortly after, but was found in Turkey and extradited back to the UK. And this week in court, the two men have been jailed for life for importing and dealing a ton of cocaine and plotting a murder. The Metropolitan Police's investigation uncovered the two men's plot to kill a man, as well as their role in delivering millions of pounds worth of drugs across London and beyond. The evidence of the offences was identified after police trawled through the messages on the encrypted Encrochat platform. James Harding is 34 years old and he's from Hampshire, and he was the head of a sophisticated drug dealing network, turning over an estimated £5 million in profit in just 10 weeks. Harding resided in Dubai at the time of his arrest, and Detective Chief Inspector Jim Casey, who led the investigation, said, "This sentencing shows the severity of the crimes the duo committed, following one of the largest Encrochat investigations in the Metropolitan Police's history. They are pleased to say that both criminals are serving their time that they deserve. Not only did they have a detailed plan to kill somebody, their conspiracy to import drugs showed how serious they really was. This sends a clear message," they said, "to any potential offenders. We will investigate you and put you before the court." Harding was found guilty by jury of conspiracy to supply Class A drugs and conspiracy to commit murder on the 24th of June at the Old Bailey. Following a 7-week trial, he was sentenced to life at the Old Bailey and will have to serve a minimum of 32 years. J.S. Karuto, 39 years old, from Epsom, previously admitted his role in supplying drugs on the 8th of November 2024 at the Old Bailey, and he was found guilty also of conspiracy to murder alongside Harding on the 24th of June 2024. He was sentenced to life and will serve a minimum of 26 years. So this story is really interesting, and don't forget that we've got the biggest playlist on the internet of Encrochat stories that you can catch up to date from 2020 up until now, where we do store every single case that we cover in relation to Encrochat. I look forward to hearing what viewers have to say on that story, and don't forget to leave a comment below. In this next story, we're going to discuss the murder in Hainault of a 14-year-old boy, Daniel Angerin. Most of you may remember that we covered this story at the time, and a man has been convicted of brutally murdering the schoolboy with a sword and also injuring police. Daniel was murdered in the street when his killer, Ardouni, went on a rampage last April. Several members of the public were attacked and 2 Metropolitan Police officers were also seriously injured. Following a complex investigation by the homicide detectives of the force, Marcus Anduni Monzo, 37 years old from Canning Town, appeared at a trial which started on the 3rd of June and lasted for over 3 weeks. On the 25th of June at the Old Bailey, Monzo was found guilty of 7 offences that included murder, 3 counts of attempted murder, grievous bodily harm having been cleared of the more serious count of attempted murder, aggravated burglary and possession of an offensive weapon. Chief Superintendent Stuart Bow, who led the investigation in the East area, said outside of court today the horrific events that occurred on the 30th of April last year sent shockwaves through our community and had a devastating and lasting impact on so many people. First in our thoughts is Daniel, a talented, gentle, bright young man, a much-loved son and brother who was brutally murdered for simply walking to school, and he was trying to start a normal day at the start of a promising life. Marcus Monzo set out that morning under the influence of drugs and with a clear intention to kill people. It didn't matter who they was, and sadly he targeted Daniel in a cowardly and brutal attack. A number of other people were also attacked, seriously injured and threatened that day, and the police wanted to acknowledge their bravery and resilience in coming forward to give evidence during the case.
Each week.
Police officer stopped! Police officer stopped!
Our colleagues, desperate to protect the community, ran towards an erratic and violent man who had just killed a young child and injured many others.
He's going in people's gardens, man. Lock your doors! Lock your doors!
2 of the officers suffered life-changing injuries, which I know they're still working hard to recover from today. And, despite seeing their colleagues suffer those injuries, additional officers, without hesitation, continued to pursue the suspects, using every tactic available to stop this rampage. The actions of all those involved that day were truly extraordinary. My heartfelt thanks and admiration remain with them and those who investigated this case and since secured justice for the grieving family. It is an absolute privilege to work alongside those who courageously police the streets of London every day, routinely putting their safety at risk in the protection of the public. This is a heartbreaking case for all involved. While nothing can take away the pain that they feel, I do hope that today's verdict affords some comfort to Daniel's family.
The police said that the heard in court police officers and paramedics were on the scene in minutes of Monzo assaulting Daniel. The series of brutal attacks started at 6:45 in the morning on the 30th of April 2024 with the attempted murder of a 33-year-old man as he was walking to work from Hainault station. Police started receiving reports at 6:50 that a van had collided with the fence of a house in Furlough Gardens and someone was stabbed. Police were on the scene in minutes, and CCTV would later show Monzo desperately driving a grey van into his first victim and catapulted them into a nearby garden. Monzo pursued the person, slashing him in the neck with a samurai sword before they escaped. Monzo then turned his attention to innocent schoolboy Daniel, who was just walking down a quiet residential street that he lived on. He was wearing his school sports clothes, he had a backpack on and headphones, and he waved goodbye to his mother shortly before. Daniel was attacked by Monzo from behind just after 7 a.m, and police were there in moments after receiving reports of the earlier collision. Later during the investigation, police would gather witness statements that would describe Monzo running up behind Daniel and swinging the sword towards him. Police took further statements that helped build up a picture of the scene before emergency services arrived. Body-worn police footage showed them deploying pepper spray to arrest Monzo before PC Yasmin was seen chasing him with a taser down an alley where he ruthlessly injured her. She suffered a fractured skull and life-changing injuries, including severe nerve damage. Monzo then gained entry to a family home where a man was asleep with his wife and child. He assaulted the father before running into a group of police that was waiting outside. Several officers continued their pursuit of the killer and brought the rampage to a close by tasering him and removing the sword within 22 minutes. Monzo was arrested at the scene, and police set up an extensive crime scene of all 6 incidents, which were forensically examined across the route that Monzo had gone. Specialist police were deployed in the area as well to photograph the scene and forensically lift key evidence, such as Monzo's van where they found Daniel's backpack, and officers conducted a search of his home and recovered 2 pistols. There was air pistols and a number of mobile phones which were downloaded and reviewed. They also found a quantity of cannabis which the defence referenced as a factor into the defendant's psychotic episode where he referenced schizophrenia-like symptoms. Detectives built enough evidence to charge Monzo on the 1st of May 2024. He pled guilty to possession of an offensive weapon as well. There was a katana sword at the Old Bailey on the 2nd of May. He'll be sentenced on the 27th of June. So this is a heartbreaking story for the family and friends of this young boy, as well as people that didn't know him, because Daniel was 14 years old. He had his whole life ahead of him, and this man who was clearly going through some mental psychotic episode and didn't get the help that he clearly needed, went on to murder Daniel, try and kill several other people, and he even murdered his own cat. So rest in peace to Daniel Anjorin, and please pay your respects in the comments below. I'll be back again very shortly with some more news. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe, and follow on social media to keep up to date with all the latest news from Scarcity Studios. Peace.